let's move on to perspective. Perspective is the native HTML visualization for to build applications within Ignition. And it is it's a great module. There's so much you can do with perspective, but it's got a few enhancements in 8.3. Most notably, the drawing tools and the forms component, along with the offline forms capabilities. I'm going to show you all of that here. Let's start with the drawing tools. So there's a new component over here that's called drawing, and you can bring it onto your screen, onto your view. You can double click on it, and it opens up the editor where we can basically configure. Let's configure a 100 by 100, or do 200 by 200, where we can use all the tools. So I can draw shapes, so squares and circles, and polygons. You can do freeform paths. You can put text in here. You can use pencil. You can draw anything you'd like to draw. So you can really build, any kind of SVG that you'd like to. So it's a full-on SVG editor built into the designer. Of course, when I press apply, I can see that, and of course, with SVGs, they scale beautifully. So that is, you're able to easily build your own graphics. And for those of you who are with Ignition for a while and with perspective, if you want to draw a circle or a line or any of that, it was hard. Now, of course, it's very simple using the new drawing tools. Now, there's multiple ways you can access these tools. I drew my own graphic here, but if you want to still use Symbol Factory, which we have in Ignition, let me bring that over here. All the graphics are there, and now I can actually drag it on, and I can then double click on it and make those modifications. So I can actually, right there, I can see all the individual paths that are part of this, and I can manipulate this, right? I can easily change the graphic. If I want to delete this, for example, the circle up here, I can certainly do that, get rid of that. And it's really easy to do. You don't have to go outside of the designer. Now, what's also really cool about the drawing tools is that we can actually do binding. So here I have a fill color on this square. Let's say that I want to bind that directly to a tag. And let's go to our writable. Let's go writable integer 1, and we'll do a mapping on this, simple mapping. If I have a value of 0, 1, 2, we can make this a color, and we can make it 0 is red, 1 is green, and 2 can be, I don't know, orange, let's say. And so a real simple binding that we're putting on that square, on the fill of that square. And now that's set up, if I press apply, you'll see, of course, that there is in here, you can see the binding happen on the properties, but now it is ready to go. And if I go over here to my writable and we change this to a 1, we'll make it go green there. You can see that it changed. Real simple. Now, what's also really cool is that you can, I'm going to make this a little bit taller. Let's go 100. I'm going to put in here text. You can now put in text, and let's just say that this is going to be motor 5 on there. Press apply, and now I've got that. And you'll notice that the text will, of course, scale beautifully as the screen gets smaller or bigger. So that's really cool. The drawing tools are a really great addition. Now, you can also take SVGs that are outside of Ignition, that you have downloaded from the internet or whatever, and you can drag it in. So I have the Ignition logo I'm going to drag in here. You're going to want to set, when you do that, to set it to embed. Embed will actually embed the SVG into the view. And so there I can see, here is the Ignition logo. I can double click on it, and I can actually, if I wanted to, go remove parts of this, again, manipulate it, make those changes very easily. So building HMIs, especially building graphics, all that is much easier than ever with the new drawing tools that are part of Perspective. So hopefully you guys enjoy that, and we're always, of course, looking feedback on how we can improve that, but no longer do you have to worry about making those modifications in a SVG editor outside of the designer. So it's all built in. All right, let's talk about the next update to Perspective, which is the offline forms, or the form component and offline forms. So the new form component, actually, let me go to a new screen. I'm going to call this forms. New form. And there's a new component over here. If I search for it, called form, you can drag it into your view. And this is where you can basically build the entire form within one component. And it's meant to be mobile responsive. It has validation. Everything's built into it to handle forms. If you were to do this outside the form component, it's not that hard to build forms, but you got to line things up. You got to think about mobile responsive design. You got to do the validation on your own. You got to often involve scripting to get things in place. This makes it so simple. So as you can see over here, if I look at my items and look at the rows, here's that second row with that. There's a widget in here, which is a text widget. And we have quite a few widgets to start out with. From text, email, URL, passwords, numbers. You can see all the ones that we have in here, and there's going to be more of them we're going to add. We didn't make a few of them. We wanted to add at the beginning. We just didn't make it for the initial release, but we want to add, the ability to do signatures, capture images, like on your phones, whatever it might be, so that we can bring that into the form. But let's show you this. So I could basically take. Let me take another one of these. Let me duplicate this one, and I can on this one, this widget. We're going to set it to be a toggle switch there, or let's do a drop down. We'll go over here, we'll do a drop down, and the drop down will have options. So I can have like option 1, and then we'll duplicate this, and we have option, maybe it's bigger, option 2. And we can set in here we can have validation if we want to force this to be a required field. You can see the star shows up on there. And for all different types, there's different validation options that are there. We can set, of course, what we want. So we can set the label down here. This is going to be, select option. And it's really easy to build these forms. And there's, we can have information boxes. Here is some information on this item. You can see there, really simple to set these things up. And it's actually, because it's defined into one component, we can actually bind this to, dynamically if we wanted to, and have these forms being dynamically generated. Of course, for offline forms, we don't want that. We want them to be defined right within the component itself. So let me go to another form that I've already that I've set up ahead of time here. Let's go to this one. I have this machine safety inspection checklist. It's all set up. Now, what's cool about this is if I look at the submit, the last thing to kind of point out is that this will fire either component events or submission events. And submission events is that it will actually submit that to a handler where we can do something with it. And so in my case, I'm submitting it to a handler called inspection. And that's up here. If I go to this gateway events form submission, there's inspection. This is using scripting. All I got to do is just figure out what to do with the data. All the validation, everything was happened for us. All I'm doing here is I'm just inserting this into our database. I'm inserting into a new row. So if we were to submit that, we'll see that come in. So very simple. So let's go back to our browser. Let's go launch this application perspective. And so there's my form. Let's go compressor 1. If I don't put something there, you'll see it says please fill out the field. So the validation is good and done. So I'll select my items here. Here are some notes, and I can submit that. And you see its form's been submitted successfully. That then went through the handler. And if I go in my database, I should see under my inspection form, refresh it, and there is that new row. So the other reason that form submission is so important on this is the component knows how to submit this, and with the mobile app, which I'm gonna show this now. So we're gonna switch over to the mobile side. So give me a second here to get this up on the screen. So you'll see this is the native app, and for my phone, I'm gonna go add the application to that demo project. And now if I go edit this, I can actually say, let's make this available offline. By making this available offline, it downloads everything, and now you can see that it is available. Of course, if I go in now, I can go set up that form like normal. That's all good. But what happens if we're offline, right? So let's go ahead and let's show this. What I'm going to do is real quick, I'm going to stop the ignition server so that I can get so I can be offline for that. So let's go back to mirroring. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So now I'm offline. So let's go in here, and you're going to see that it's not going to be able to connect. So it's going to say in just a moment it'll launch, and it'll show us that we're offline. So we're at the very top. We're currently working offline. Let's go ahead and put something in here. So I'm going to go pump 1. This is Travis. And I'm going to set my form again. Let's say everything is good. And we're going to submit. So you'll see that that was it says that that offline submission was added to the device queue. So if I exit and go over here, you'll notice in the top that there's a queue, submission queue. And that submission queue is all the items that were there. So when we're back in range, this will automatically then get submitted to that same handler that we just showed, so that can get stored into the database. So let's go back. Let's start up our Ignition server again so that I can be back online. And while that's happening, we're going to mirror the phone again one more time. Accept. All right, so I'm just going to press the refresh button, and you'll notice that it submitted. Everything was good. There's no more queued submissions. It automatically went up there. And so now I should be able to go into my database. Let's minimize this. Go to my database, refresh, and you'll see there's my centrifugal pump 1. So we're able to show that offline capability. It is a very, I think, critical feature that's going to be for a lot of people when they need to go out on site where there's no cellular, no Wi-Fi, where they can collect that information. This form component and this offline capability is huge. But the thing to keep in mind with this, for those of you who are going to use it, is to ensure that the screen that you have doesn't have any bindings, doesn't have anything that relies back on the server. You want, because that's got to be available completely offline there, which is what you have to make sure to look at. But this is an amazing new feature of Ignition.